Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am your host, Josh Davis, also known as Crash, and I am here to talk to you guys about tonight's NBA slate. We've got 12 games to go over today, so we got a lot to cover. Before we do cover those games, if you're new to the channel, if you would give us a like, first of all, hit the thumbs up button to give us a like, and then hit the subscribe button. And then after you've done those two things, hit the alarm button, and that will let you know when our newest podcast has gone live or has been recorded. So with that being said, like I said, we've got a 12-game slate tonight in the NBA. Coach is traveling today, so he wasn't able to make it, but I am here to go over this 12-game slate. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first game on the slate tonight is going to be the Portland Trailblazers at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland is an 8-point favorite. The over-under is 213.5. So that'll be the first game starting at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. And for me, my top plays with Damian Lillard still out, I think you could look at Anthony Simons. He's 7,600 on DraftKings, 8,300 on FanDuel, and $30 on Yahoo. And the other play I like for Portland is going to be Josh Hart. He's 6,100 on DraftKings, 6,500 on FanDuel, and only $23 on Yahoo. On the Cleveland side, I'm primarily looking at the bigs. Evan Mobley at 6,900 on DraftKings, 7,300 on FanDuel, $28 on Yahoo. And then Jared Allen is 6,700 on DraftKings, 6,900 on FanDuel, and $25 on Yahoo. So let me check the chat here. Looks like we got some comments coming in. Hey guys, yeah, it's just me today. So Coach is traveling, so he won't be here today, but he'll probably join us in the chat, I would think, if he hasn't already. So that was the first game, Portland at Cleveland. I am going to keep a pretty, quick pace here. The games I like, I'll go into more in depth than the other ones. We've got 12 games, so 24 teams to cover, so a lot to get into. The second game is going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Indiana Pacers. It also starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. Minnesota is favored by 2. This game has, I believe it's let's see here. Just doing the quick math. Looks like the second fastest, the second highest over-under on the slate at 237. So this is definitely going to be a key game for me. My top plays are going to be Anthony Edwards on the Minnesota side. He's 8,000 on DraftKings, 7,800 on FanDuel, $31 on Yahoo. Indiana's allowed the third most fantasy points to shooting guards and the eighth most to small forwards. So depending on what you consider Anthony Edwards, he's kind of a hybrid between shooting guard and small forward. But either way, Indiana has not defended either position well. So I like him a lot. And he scored 40-plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games. So Anthony Edwards is going to be the key play for me on the Timberwolves side. On the Pacers side, Tyrese Halliburton is 9,500 on DraftKings, 9,400 on FanDuel, $41 on Yahoo. Minnesota has allowed the 4th most fantasy points to point guards, so it's a really favorable matchup for him. And then I like Jalen Smith. Minnesota has actually allowed the most fantasy points to power forwards in the NBA, and he's 5,000 on DraftKings, 5,300 on FanDuel, and $17 on Yahoo. So it's a really good matchup for him. And Isaiah Jackson is listed as questionable currently. So if he's out, then you're going to get even more minutes and usage for Jalen Smith with Jackson out if he's out. So just keeping a quick look here at the questions to see if anything new's come in. Doesn't look like it. So we'll move on to the next game. The third game is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers at the Charlotte Hornets. Also starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, and Charlotte is currently favored by 5 with a 214 total, so a really low total on this game. But I do like this game quite a bit. Now, this is going to be one of the higher-owned games on the slate, obviously, with Embiid still out and Tyrese Maxey. They're both out still for Philly, and then LaMelo Ball is still out, and Cody Martin, for the Hornets are out. So there's still some value in this game that I like. Like I said, it is pretty highly owned. Obviously, Charlotte's allowed the most fantasy points to centers. So I like Paul Reed, especially on DraftKings. He's only 3,700 and he's still min price on Yahoo at $10. He's 5,400 on FanDuel, so he's harder to get to over there. But definitely like him on both DraftKings and Yahoo. Charlotte, as you know, has allowed the most fantasy points to centers. So it's a really good spot for him once again tonight after he had a big night last night with Embiid out. I like Tobias Harris. He's 7,800 on DraftKings, 8,400 on FanDuel, and $26 on Yahoo. And then you've still got the two guards that are in play. For me, I lean more towards Shake Milton, though. He's a little bit cheaper. He's 5,500 on DraftKings, 6,000 on FanDuel, and $11 on Yahoo. And then, of course, you have the Anthony Melton still at 7,600 on DraftKings, 7,400 on FanDuel, and $22 on Yahoo. Now, if we look at the ownership, this is what I was talking about when we consider playing the Philly guys. Currently on DraftKings, Paul Reed is the highest projected owned player at 39.2%. And then right after that, we've got Shake Milton at 33.5%. Terrence Mann is actually the third highest projected owned player, which I'm not really too crazy about him tonight, but he's 3,400, so he is really cheap at 25.8%. Then you have Ben Simmons, who I like at 6,100. He's 23.9%. Again, this is for DraftKings. Colin Sexton is tied with Ben Simmons. He's 4,400. He's 23.9% as well. Then we have Trae Young, 21.3. Kelly Olynyk, 20.1. Jordan Clarkson, 19.9. And coach's favorite, Norman Powell, he's 18.9%. So those are the top projected owned players on DraftKings. And then over on FanDuel, it's a little bit different. You've got Marcus Morris is actually the highest projected owned at 4,900, 42.4% projected ownership for him. Jordan Clarkson, I like him. He's been playing really well with Conley out. He's 6,300 on FanDuel. He's 38.8% projected owned. And then Norman Powell is 5,100. He's 29.5%. Terrence Mann, again, 3,700 on FanDuel at 28.1%. Kelly Olynyk, 5,300 at 27.5%. Shake Milton, he's 6,000 on FanDuel. He's 26.3% projected. Then we have Jared Vanderbilt at 4,800. He's 23.5%. Trae Young is 9,900. He's 22.9. And then Talen Horton-Tucker, you guys know we always try to avoid playing him. He's 4,200, especially when he's chalky. We don't want to go to him, but 4,200 on FanDuel and 22.5% projected owned. And then we have DeAnthony Milton at 7,400. He's 21.9% projected owned over on FanDuel. And then on Yahoo, there's a runaway favorite for highest projected owned, and that's Shake Milton at $11. He's 61.4% projected owned. Then we have his teammates, Paul Reed at $10 at 46.4%. DeAnthony Milton at $22 at 45.2%. So those four or three from Philly are very highly owned on Yahoo. And then you have Ben Simmons at $19 only on Yahoo, 42%. Tobias Harris at $26, 34.2%. So you got four of the top five guys on Yahoo are Philadelphia players, projected owned. Then we have Trae Young, $42. He's at 27.4%. Bam Adebayo, $31, 24.8%. And Jordan Clarkson, $24, 24%. And Bojan Bogdanovic in a revenge game going back to Utah, he's $18 and he's 19.2% projected. So those are some of the top projected owned players over on Yahoo. Let's go ahead and get back into the games, go game by game here. The fourth game tonight is going to be at 7:30 Eastern. We have the Sacramento Kings and the Atlanta Hawks. It's 241.5, so it's the highest projected over-under on the slate, and Atlanta is favored by 4.5. So there's not really too many players from this game that are getting huge ownership like you would think with that high of an over-under, so that's pretty interesting to me. But as far as the plays that I like in this game, I like my favorite play on Atlanta is going to be DeJounte Murray. Well, first of all, I need to get into Sacramento plays. So Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox is 9,400 on DraftKings. He's 9,700 on FanDuel. $37 only on Yahoo. I feel like that's pretty much a lock at that price. So I'm definitely going to be playing him on Yahoo. Probably not on DraftKings and FanDuel, but definitely on Yahoo. He had a huge game last night. I like Kevin Huerter in a revenge game going back to Atlanta. He's 6,000 on DraftKings, 5,800 on FanDuel, and only $19 on Yahoo. So he's a strong play for me. And then on the Hawks, you have DeJounte Murray. He's 9,000 on DraftKings, 9,500 on FanDuel, and $38 on Yahoo. Like him a little bit. And then if DeAndre Hunter is out, which he's currently listed as questionable, if he's out, I like AJ Griffin, the rookie. He's been coming on pretty strong of late. And if DeAndre Hunter's out, he should get good minutes. So he's 4,100 on DraftKings, 4,000 on FanDuel, and then min price at $10 on Yahoo. So let me check and see the questions here. Yeah, Indiana and Minnesota should be a shootout, Rodney. I agree completely with that. So the next game we've got on the schedule here is the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. It starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Boston is currently favored by 4.5. It's a 218.5 over under, so pretty low over under. There's not a lot that I like in this game, but if Jason Tatum is ruled out, it's kind of like the whole LeBron AD situation with Tatum and Brown, as coach has mentioned many times. When one of those guys is out, you want to play the other one, which, I mean, AD just had a huge night last night with LeBron out, and I would expect a pretty nice night from Jaylen Brown if Tatum's ruled out. He's questionable right now, but if he's out, he's 8,500. Jaylen Brown is 8,500 on DraftKings and FanDuel both, so same price on both sites there, and $36 on Yahoo. So very strong play for me if Tatum is out. Probably not going to get to him otherwise. Not going to pay 12.6 or whatever Luka is tonight up against Boston. You know, really good defensive team. I just don't like it for him tonight. I'm just not going to get there. So probably not going to go to anybody on Dallas, and I'm only going to go to Jaylen Brown if Tatum's ruled out. So not one of my favorite games, either, you know, Jaylen Brown or move on. The next game is the Washington Wizards at the Miami Heat. It also starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. It's Miami currently favored by 1.5, and they have a 211 over under only. So I believe that is the lowest on the whole slate. Let me check here. I think so. So far it is. Yes, that is the lowest total on the whole slate. So probably going to be one of the lower owned games on this slate. There are a couple plays that I like, you know, with Tyler Hero if he's still out. And, of course, Jimmy Butler's out. I do like Kyle Lowry a little bit in this matchup. And then on the Washington side, I don't really like anybody. Last time these guys played each other, Porzingis had a really nice game, but that was because Bam Adebayo was out. Bam Adebayo is projected to be back in the lineup tonight, and I actually like him a little bit in this matchup. So he would probably be one play that I would play besides Kyle Lowry on the Heat. And then, there's one other play that's a value play a little bit. It's Caleb Martin. He's 5,400 on DraftKings and FanDuel and $18 on Yahoo. And then Kyle Lowry is 7,700 on DraftKings, 7,400 on FanDuel. He's only 27 on Yahoo, so I feel like that's a really good price for him over on Yahoo. And then for Bam, he is 8,200 on DraftKings, so pretty pricey. And then he is 8,800, even more on FanDuel. And then on Yahoo, he is 31. So probably Yahoo is the only place I'm going to get to Bam Adebayo on this slate with so many games. But I do like him if you're able to get to him and, you know, his $31 salary on Yahoo. That's very fair price. The last 7:30 Eastern game we have is the Brooklyn Nets and the Toronto Raptors. Toronto is currently favored by 2.5, and it has a 223 over under. Injury news, looks like Seth Curry is going to be out for Brooklyn. And then for Toronto, Scotty Barnes is a game time decision. So if Barnes is out, I do like a couple of the Raptors. I still like Ben Simmons again. He's still, in play. He's 6,100 on DraftKings, 7,600 on FanDuel, and 19 on Yahoo. So probably just going to play him on DraftKings and Yahoo. But he's been looking, a lot better of late. And of course, he had the big game last night in a revenge situation in Philadelphia. So assuming that he's playing, I do like him on DraftKings and Yahoo, probably not on FanDuel. And then on the Raptors, Fred VanVleet has had some really nice games against Brooklyn the last time, two times he's faced them with 50-plus fantasy points. And Brooklyn's allowed the ninth most fantasy points to point guards. So on DraftKings and Yahoo, on DraftKings, he's 7,800. On Yahoo, he's only $33. I like him there. He's 8,800 on FanDuel. Probably not going to get to that. And then OG Anunoby is also in play if Barnes is out. He's 7,600 on DraftKings, 8,200 on FanDuel, and then $32 on Yahoo. Biggest injury news to look out for on the slate. Yeah, Joe, I would say the injury news for Jason Tatum is going to be the biggest for me, because if he's out, then Jaylen Brown becomes a must play, in my opinion. So that's probably the biggest news that I'm watching for tonight. The last, actually, I think that we already went over the last 7:30 game. Tatum or, well, we don't know if Tatum's playing, so we'll have to see if Tatum plays or not. The next game is, so that was the last 7:30 Eastern game. The next game is going to be the Chicago Bulls at my Milwaukee Bucks, and that's at 8 Eastern. Milwaukee's a 6.5 point favorite. It has a 223.5 over under, so kind of in the middle as far as the implied total goes. Lonzo Ball is still out for the Bulls. Goran Dragic is a game time decision. He's had some really nice games against the Bucks, so if you're looking for some value, you could probably go to him. And then Joe Ingles and Chris Middleton still are out for the Bucks. So for this game, I don't really like anyone on the Bulls. Just not really feeling it. Not even a biased thing with it. The Bucks being my team. It's just I don't really feel like any of the Bulls are in a good spot. And then the only Bucks that I'm really looking at, honestly, are Giannis. He's had 60-plus fantasy points in 5 of his last 6 against Chicago. So he's definitely had some big games against them. But he is expensive. He's 12-3 on DraftKings, 11-8 on FanDuel, and 55 on Yahoo. So far, from the lineups I've built, I've only been able to get him in on Yahoo. We'll see if that changes with some other news, but right now that's the only place I'm playing him. And then you have Bobby Portis. He was with the Bulls for a while. He has played pretty well against the Bulls, and so I like him. He's definitely a revenge narrative type of a guy. He's 6,900 on DraftKings, 6,000 on FanDuel, and $22 on Yahoo. And as I mentioned the other day, I like him better when he comes off the bench than when he starts. So Portis or Giannis, and that's it for me in this game. The next game is the New Orleans Pelicans and the San Antonio Spurs, and it starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. We don't really have any major news, it looks like, for the Pelicans. Looks like their starting lineup of McCollum, Ingram, Jones, Williamson, and Valanciunas is intact. I believe Jakob Poeltl, I think I saw he will play. Yeah, he's in for the Spurs. So they're pretty much at full strength as far as their starters go right now. And then Zach Collins is out, Josh Richardson is out, and then Blake Wesley remains out as well. So for this game, I like Pelicans, and that's pretty much it. So Brandon Ingram, who's been playing shooting guard this year, he's 8,400 on DraftKings, 8,100 on FanDuel, $32 on Yahoo. San Antonio's allowed the 7th most fantasy points to point guards and the most to shooting guards. So that's where both guards come into play for me. CJ McCollum, 7,700 on DraftKings, 8,000 on FanDuel, and $31 on Yahoo. So you can pretty much just pick one of them. I like them both tonight against the Spurs. They've allowed a lot of fantasy points to both guard positions. So they're in a really good spot, in my opinion. Yeah, Jokic may not play. That's true. Same thing with, well, actually, we'll get into that. But Jokic, Murray, and Porter are all questionable. So, and that's actually a good segue because that's the next game I'm going to go over. So it's the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's 8 p.m. Eastern start time. Oklahoma City is favored by 1 point currently. So they must be expecting some of these guys to be out. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for them to be favored in this game. But with a 229 over-under. So right now, like I said, you've got Jokic, Murray, and Porter are all questionable. So if those guys are all out, and Bones Highland was already ruled out, so he's out too. Bruce Brown would be a top play for me. He's 6,300 on DraftKings, 6,100 on FanDuel, $18 on Yahoo. And then Aaron Gordon, I would like as well. He's 5,600 on DraftKings, 6,700 on FanDuel, and $22 on Yahoo. So it's all going to be news dependent. But if all three of those guys are out, or two of the three at least, I would take either Bruce Brown or Aaron Gordon or both of them for tonight. And then for the Thunder, I do like SGA. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford him, but he's 10-2 on DraftKings, 10-5 on FanDuel, and $49 on Yahoo. Josh Giddey's been playing pretty well of late. He's got 40-plus fantasy points in his last two games. He's 7,000 on DraftKings, 6,800 on FanDuel, and 26 on Yahoo. So I like him. And then the value play that we've been going to a little bit lately for the Thunder is Jalen Williams. He's 4,500 on DraftKings, 5,100 on FanDuel, and only $12 on Yahoo. So I like Williams as a value play for sure. How many people would I consider in the Indiana-Minnesota game? Let's see. You've got Halliburton for sure. I would consider him. Anthony Edwards on the Minnesota side, and then Jalen Smith if Isaiah Jackson's ruled out. So 2, maybe 3 from that game is what I would look at. Yeah, I agree, David. At Paul Reed, his price on DraftKings at only $3,700, it's pretty hard to mess up that. So, 5,400 on FanDuel, I'm not going to go to that, but $10 on Yahoo, that or the 3,700 on DraftKings to me just feels super safe. So I like that price. The next game, we've got the 9 o'clock Eastern start time. It's the Detroit Pistons and the Utah Jazz. Sadiq Bey is still out, as is Cade Cunningham, and Isaiah Stewart is out as well. I did see that they've recalled him from the G League, so he'll be back with the team probably for the next game. But as of now, he's still ruled out for this game. And then on the Utah side, Mike Conley and Rudy Gay are still out. And so that will put, for me, first of all, on the Utah side, on the Detroit side, you've got Bojan Bogdanovic, as I mentioned, his revenge game going back to Utah, where he spent so many years there. 6,500 on DraftKings, 5,900 on FanDuel, and it seems like he's been there all year, $18 on Yahoo. So he's a core play for me tonight as a revenge play. I like him a lot. Alec Burks, you could look at as a little bit of a value. He's 5,000 on DraftKings, 4,600 on FanDuel, and $16 on Yahoo. So those are the only two plays I really like for Detroit. And then on Utah, Lauri Markkanen just continues to play very good basketball. He's 8,100 on DraftKings, 7,900 on FanDuel, 32 on Yahoo. Definitely like him if you can afford him. Jordan Clarkson with Mike Conley has been playing very well too. He's 6,900 on DraftKings, 6,300 on FanDuel, $24 on Yahoo. And then the guy that Coach and I like quite a bit of late is Malik Beasley. He's 4,800 on DraftKings, 5,700 on FanDuel, a little bit more over there, and then $14 on Yahoo. So primarily looking at him on DraftKings and Yahoo, and not as much on FanDuel. So before we get into the last game here, which is going to be Clippers and the Warriors, anyone else have any other questions? I saw your question, Doug, about Miles Turner. I did consider him. Obviously, with Rudy Gobert, they're a little tough on center. So depending on what the situation is with Isaiah Jackson and Jalen Smith and that whole situation, you could look at Turner. But I'm leaning more towards Smith, as I mentioned. Indiana's given up the most. Minnesota has given up the most fantasy points to power forwards, and they've been pretty good against centers. So Miles Turner is a little bit of a hybrid, but I guess he's more of a center than a power forward, in my opinion. So I kind of look more at Jalen Smith, especially if Isaiah Jackson's out. Take it center on FanDuel. I actually think I do have, even though he's 5,400, I think I currently have Paul Reed. But some other options are Bam Adebayo. Let me look and see here. Who else? Jared Allen. Brooke Lopez. And then, of course, if the Joker plays and you can afford it, you can always look at him too. But those would be the centers that I would be looking at primarily. And maybe even Kelly Olynyk too on FanDuel. All right, so the last game, I know I've been at a much quicker pace than Coach usually goes at, but that's just kind of how I roll. 10 o'clock Eastern, we have the Los Angeles Clippers and the Golden State Warriors. Golden State is favored by 10. It says 223 over under. You've got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are both out for the Clippers, so that really has a lot to do with, the Warriors obviously at home being favored by double digits. This game definitely could blow out, but I feel like we've said that quite a few times of late. We had the Brooklyn-Philly game that a lot of people thought was going to blow out, and Philly actually won that game. So I'm not sure if I want to predict a blowout here. The plays that I like, obviously, for the Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard out, there's going to be a lot of usage to go around. A lot of people are on Marcus Morris. I'm not as much on that play tonight. For me, I like John Wall. I like the way he's been looking lately. He's been playing really well. He's 5,800 on DraftKings, 6,100 on FanDuel, $20 on Yahoo. Reggie Jackson was struggling earlier in the year, but the last 3-4 games, he's really been playing a lot better, so I like him. He's 5,500 on DraftKings and FanDuel, $16 on Yahoo. And then Norman Powell, who we joke about from time to time, but with George and Leonard out, he's a good play in my opinion. 5,300 on DraftKings, 5,100 on FanDuel, and $15 on Yahoo. And then, of course, for Golden State, you have the Splash Brothers. I like them both. It's just a matter of whether or not you can afford Steph Curry. He's 10-8 on DraftKings, 10-4 on FanDuel, $48 on Yahoo. He is coming off his best game of the year against Houston. He had 77.5 DraftKings points with 33 points, 6 rebounds, 15 assists. That might be a career high. Somebody would have to look that up, but I'm thinking it might be a career high for him for 15 assists. 3 steals, 2 blocks, 7 of 14 from 3. So just a monster night for Steph. And you're probably going to see some regression from him, but it is Steph. He's well capable of hitting another 60-plus point fantasy night tonight. Klay Thompson's also coming off his best game of the year. He's 6,100 on DraftKings, 6,000 on FanDuel, $23 on Yahoo. He had 58.3 DraftKings points against Houston, 41 points on 10 of 13 shooting from 3. So going to see some regression from him too, but kind of like with Curry, he's definitely capable of having another big night. And that is going to be the overview for tonight's 12-game slate. Let's look and see what the questions are here. Yeah, I could see Terrence Mann. I like that play a little bit, but I've been burned by Terrence Mann quite a bit, honestly. So I'm a little bit gun shy to go back to him. He is starting, though. So their starting lineup is projected to be Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, Marcus Morris, and, of course, Zubac. So that's Terrence Mann is definitely in play. And then for Boom Fantasy, we have the 2 revenge plays that I'm looking at. So you've got Kevin Huerter over 21.5 PRA, points, rebounds, and assists. He's gone over this number in 4 of his last 5 games. It is a revenge game for him, going from Atlanta to Sacramento. So he's going back to Atlanta tonight. So I'm sure he's probably going to, be pumped up for this game. Same thing with Bojan Bogdanovic. He's my other Boom Fantasy play. I like the over at 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's also gone over that number in 4 of his last 5 games. So those are my Boom Fantasy plays. Let's go ahead and do a giveaway. real quick. Trae Young's getting owned. Yeah, I do like Trae Young, but it's just kind of do you go with him or do you go with DeJounte Murray? And I just kind of have a feeling that tonight's going to be a better night for Murray for some reason. So that's the reason I was looking at him. Colin Sexton, yeah. Colin Sexton is a good play. He's too cheap right now. He's only, let's see, on DraftKings, he is 4,400. Yeah, he is 23.9% projected owned, but he should be at that price. And then he's 4,700 on FanDuel, 20.5% projected. And then on Yahoo, he is only $12. So yeah, he's a good value on all three sites. So definitely in play as a value play for sure. Herder and Bogdanovich was my two Boom Fantasy plays. Doug. Today's winner is going to be Davion Cuff, which I think that's somebody new. So congratulations, Davion. I haven't seen you in here before. If you have been in here before, I apologize, but I believe this is the first time I've seen your name. But you are today's winner for the PayPal giveaway. So if you get a hold of Coach, he will get that to you. You can either DM him on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk, or you can reach out to him if you're a member. You can reach out to him on the Discord, or you can reach him at joe.servati@yahoo.com. So those are the ways that you can reach out to Coach, and he will get you your winnings. Anyone else have any other questions before I get out of here? All right, looks like that's going to do it, guys, for tonight's 12-game main slate. We will have our DraftKings core and our FanDuel and Yahoo lineups posted in Discord right around 6:30 Eastern. And then tonight you can join Steve and I at 7:30 Eastern. We're going to be going over the 3-game Thanksgiving Day NFL slate. So we're looking forward to that. And hope everyone has a very safe and happy Thanksgiving. And we will be back again on Friday when we look to crush it in NBA, DFS, and Boom Fantasy. Thank you.